operations work, that it's not us as South Africa who's in the direction whereby the capabilities that come from the 16 SADC countries. So it's a SADC operation. But more important also, what brought us here and that brought this very sad situation, the capture of Goma. We'll explain again what happened in Goma, and as I say, on that very day, when there was this attack on Goma, I happened to have been in the area and was able to visit the different camps in Goma, was able to go to our operations, but I was also able to meet the different forces that were in Goma. And what is currently keeping us very busy, Chair, is a repatriation of our remains from Goma. And I think when you explain what the situation, it will explain why it is an issue, because when Goma was attacked, the runway was completely destroyed. Parents have been contacting me to say, you know, they're like sitting in the water. If you have a deceased, you want to close it. For us, also a big African mission, Chair. So, Chair, so I don't go too long. I'm going to ask the General and the...
Thank you, Minister. Come in when the meeting is on. So I hopefully for the closed session. But when we learned that it's going to be an open session, we were very elated. Elated in the sense that we were given the opportunity to be able to speak to our nation, to be able to share with our people in terms of the challenges that we were facing. But we are also deprived of the opportunity to share with the committee in terms of the details that we have prepared for this session. However, we have now toned down the presentation not to deprive the committee of the information. And we're still open, Chair and honorable members, to be there. Chair, and lining what each one of us should be interested in. What is it that is there in the national interest for our national security? The policy hinges on the world and the continent and the region that is free, remains the cornerstone of that, in that part of the policy thrust. Defense, it's a tool of diplomacy as well. And therefore, we get involved because of the understanding that military or war, that you will use your defense to enhance your diplomacy. Chair and honorable members, I am not going to take much as though I'm going to give the history lessons, but I just want to indicate that the deployment of the South African National Defence Force had been as a result of the SADC summit that took place in Angola. And that summit decision had made, and those troops are the ones that formed part of summit DRC. South Africa is amongst the troop contributing countries, with Tanzania and Malawi. And Honorable Chair and honorable members, I've got the General Officer Commanding of the Operation Headquarters, Major General Godfrey Tulari, who will then give a rundown. He tried to tone down the presentation because it was prepared for the closed session, and as such, if there are gaps in the presentation, we will be able to fill in those gaps within the parameters of security considerations. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Chief. Honorable Chairpersons, honorable members of the Joint Standing Committee on Defense, as well as the Portfolio Committee on Defense, the Minister of Defense, and the Deputy Ministers, good day. To start, plus the SADC Troika of the 8th of May, 2023 in Windhoek, Namibia, amongst others, took a decision due to the M23 activities and the deteriorating security situation. The 43rd SADC Summit of the Heads of States and Government, which was held on the 17th of August 2023 in Luanda, Angola, endorsed the mandate for the deployment of a Summit DRC for a strength of a brigade-size force. Subsequently, all SADC member states were invited to participate in the SADC effort to support and assist the DRC by pledging and providing the determined and required military capabilities as true contributing countries, which South Africa was one of them. The contribution required to contribute to the acts of intensified hostilities perpetrated by numerous armed groups, including M23, and negative forces, resulting in the gross deterioration of security and humanitarian of capabilities, and authorized the SNDF deployment to the DRC through the presidential minutes in 23, and in subsequent informed the parliament. The mandate of the Summit DRC, which is the mission as it is known, and the SADC standby force, peace and security architecture, to do the following. One, to support the Democratic Republic of Congo to neutralize negative forces and armed groups in the Eastern DRC to restore and maintain peace and security in order to create a secure environment. To support the FRDC by providing logistic, land, air, and maritime assistance in order to enhance its military operational capabilities. To provide support efforts to the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo to continue creating a conducive environment for humanitarian the Eastern DRC. The SNDF has got two components. We have got the pledged forces and contributed forces to the Summit DRC. The intent of the SADC regional support, it is mainly to restore peace and security, and the mission revolves around the protection of civilians, as well as to establish a favorable security condition for maintenance of peace and stability. We also do assist in the stabilization of the Democratic Republic of Congo forces by means of training programs. A brief with regard to where we are today. The M23 rebel group had over a period of time been continuously conducting attacks on villages. The FRDC, there was a Lendo militia, as well as the Samir DRC forces. This includes the South African, the SNDF forces, the forces from Tanzania, as well as Malawi. Period of November 2024 to January 2025, there had been a number of attacks on villages in the Masisi areas.
On the other side, and the DRC soldiers were on the other side. So our members were caught by the bullets that were coming from behind. Can that be confirmed as the truth, or is something maybe I might not have the minister saying over the radio? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Without wasting time, Honorable Chair, we are being made to believe that our soldiers are in the DRC for peacekeeping mission. But what is amazing, it's not for the first time our soldiers are engaging with the enemy in these countries. Same thing happened to Kah, whereby our soldiers died because of engaging with the enemy. Our soldiers are being turned to a defense force of other countries instead of peacekeeping mission that we are being told about here. It doesn't matter whether it's a SADC United Nations mission. It doesn't matter. But what matters here, it's a life of these fathers, mothers, wives, and husbands of the people who are dying. What I want to know, Minister, exactly tell the nation, what is it that our soldiers are protecting there? What is it that our soldiers are protecting? Because now you tell us about the peacekeeping mission and you find soldiers engaging with the enemy. Really, it doesn't give any sense. It doesn't give any sense. When we are peacekeeping, what are real things that you are supposed to do in keeping peace? Are you waiting for war to start and try to engage the enemy as the soldiers? Here we're talking about soldiers of this country who are doing, protecting things. Nation, tell the world, what is it that it's protected from that DRC at the expense of the poor masses of this country, whereby are being sacrificed to criminals? No one is protecting South Africans. And you always claim that you don't have the budget. You cry about the budget cutting, but you do have money. You do have resources to go and protect and defend other countries. We think about the lives of these people.
You can wrap
Really,
up,
it's okay. Thank you, Chair. That's my take.
Thank
And it's worrisome.
you.
Thanks, Chairperson. Chairperson, maybe let me start with a controversial question and then work my way up, and the Minister and General and Major General will decide what to answer. There are allegations that family members of President Ramaphosa have significant interests in mining in the Eastern DRC. Can this be confirmed? And how is this impacting government's decision to deploy troops to the DRC? Question, the M23 rebels are also claiming that they have captured SA troops and are confining them to their bases. Can this be confirmed? What is going to this? Have troops been visited by senior officials? I know the Minister said she was there, but have they been visited from officials of SA to assess and confirm the situation on the ground? And if so, what has their recommendations been and what has been done? Reports also say that 14 soldiers were killed, but how many have been wounded? How serious are their wounds? Are they field hospitals? Are they receiving medical attention? What is the logistical support situation to these bases? And you don't have to go into details, but is there sufficient ammunition? Is this the case, and how will we ensure that? Also, how open is our logistical channels from the from South Africa to the DRC, and have we been able to actually restock these supplies to our troops in the DRC, Chairperson? Then, Chairperson, I know that Major General said that there is a truce, but what is the current situation on the ground? A colleague next to me said, or are we confined to our bases? What is happening? And in the hands of N23, this question. The Major General said that we are there for air contingent. Is not a link. Can this be confirmed, and why would we then send air support if we cannot sufficiently provide that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. The M23 rebels have taken control of Goma. I mean, case, are they there? I mean, to try. Chair, just want to know that how many soldiers are there on behalf of UNESCO and SADC mission. Chair, Rwanda was approached in the beginning, or was not, I mean, approached at all. And what was the reason for not, I mean, being part of the peacekeeping? Because they are very, very close, I mean, to the DRC. Compulsory that South African soldiers must be part of that peacekeeping. If it is the mandate, it is compulsory by the AU, why other neighboring countries are not part of that peacekeeping mission there? Maybe I can get a clear picture. Chair, I think that is going to be the last, I mean, question. Though it has been, it has been asked already, but I would like, I mean, to emphasize, if there is any business interest, not personal to someone, but any business that is being conducted there by South Africans in the DRC. Thank you.
Yes. In that area, and we all know the forces involved. It's a long-standing war coming on. The vocabulary they use now of a peacekeeping is contradicted by statements that speaks about peace enforcement. Now, if you enforce peace, in other words, you want to enforce something that is not there, obviously you must use these strong arm tactics, resulting then in a subsequent war. Now, it would appear that President Paul Kagame is hell-bent to expose South Africa as being involved in the heart of this war. He said yesterday on CNN, he said the people who are benefiting from minerals in Congo more than anybody else are South Africa and these Europeans who are making noise about it. That's the first point. We want to know, why then is it that South Africa finds itself for so long in that area, while the Congo is a member of the East Africa community, surrounded by powerful armies, like your Kenya, your Ugandans, and all those type of armies, even Rwanda, that's got powerful. What are we doing there? What are we protecting? Are we using our boys, our soldiers, to protect the business interests of powerful, prominent South Africans? Are we using people, are we hell-bent to send them to their death to protect the mineral wealth that prominent figures protect in that area for their own benefits? That's a question. That's a serious question, central to this entire argument, because it is senseless. We don't understand why we are sending troops for peacekeeping and it results into war and our boys are dying. Secondly, the distortion, Chairperson, of the hoisting or the raising of the white flag that we've all seen on social media and in media reports. We all know, we are not fools. We know if you hoist a white flag, you do surrender. Yes, you do surrender. It's in a war. You cannot raise a white flag just to say, oh, we are here. Or come fetch your weapons here, as has been said. It is a token of surrender. It brings us to the point that we ask, are our soldiers effectively and efficiently armed for the type of combat that they are involved? Then the answer is no. If the answer is yes, 14 of our guys would not have died. The answer is yes, they are not adequately armed, trained, and equipped. And this is why they have died at the hands of those guys, of those gangsters, and those that are hell-bent to get us out there. Last question, Chairperson. Is the fact that I want to know, why is it that South Africa must always play a big brother in the entire Africa? Yes, we are a powerful nation, we have a powerful economy, and we have powerful interests all over here. But why is it that we must always play big brother if there are capable and competent armies all over? We, Chairperson, in closing, speak on behalf of the nation, and we say we are disappointed, disgusted in what has happened there. We express our condolences, our sympathies towards the families of the bereaved. We trust that God, through His Holy Spirit, will comfort the bereaved and their children. But we demand here this afternoon that we say an in-depth investigation must happen, and we must get to the bottom of this. And if people are not capable to lead military missions or even political missions, then heads must roll. It is inevitable that the political office overseeing this, they cannot account. We've seen here now this afternoon, the reports coming out. They cannot account. We will demand that heads must roll. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, just as an aside, not all white people look the same and think the same. It happened to have been Mr. Chris Hutton, my colleague here, who asked you that the chair should not speak for 20 minutes. But I did happen to agree with that, because we as members should have the right to have enough time to speak. But in seriousness, Chair, I'm holding here in my hands a file which contains the reports, the legacy reports, since 2015, of what had been told to the Chief of the South African National Defence Force, also the current Chief's predecessor, and the various ministers, that the SANDF is not in a position to carry out an offensive mandate in any country in Africa, that the SANDF is collapsing. Now, it's taken a year for the Chief of the South African National Defence Force, General Mpofu-walsh, to come to our committee. We've asked many times, he never dignified us with his presence. It had to take 14 of our SANDF soldiers to die for him to come here. We told the Minister of Defence and Military Veterans, the SANDF is collapsing. We cannot carry out an offensive mission in the DRC. Here are my 3 questions. Why are you Minister? And why is the President lying to us about the nature of the operation that we have in the DRC? It is not a peacekeeping mission. It is an offensive mission, and it is defined as such by the SADC. Therefore, you knew that our soldiers were going to be shot at, and you knew that you're sending our young men into the DRC to die in the killing fields of the DRC. You did not have the ammunition, you did not have the supplies, you do not have the money to have sent them, but you sent them to die for the mineral wealth that is being looked after, the mines that are being looked after, that belongs to Cyril Ramaphosa, his family, and his friends. On all sides, we have a defense of the mineral wealth rather than for the people of the DRC? That is my first question. My second question, Minister, and the Chief of the South African National Defence Force. When are you going to bring our soldiers back? Are you bringing them back now? And explain to us how you are going to bring them back. And my third question, why do you disrespect us? And why do you disrespect the South African nation with this pitiful little report that contains hardly any information, that doesn't address the issues that needed to be addressed here this afternoon? Stop disrespecting us. And lastly, when are you, Minister? No, I'm just pointing to the Minister. Okay, let me leave my hands down. When are you, Minister? You get threatened easily, Minister. When are you, Minister? And when are you, Chief of the South African National Defence Force, resigning? You should resign today. And when are the rest of your generals who were playing golf at Copperleaf while our soldiers were dying? When are they going to resign? My questions, I expect answers.
There's a point of order. There's a point of order. Point of order, yes?
What is the point?
Chair,
One earns respect,
we cannot
one doesn't
allow a
demand
member
respect, Minister. Your
Honorable,
behavior
pointing
doesn't
someone.
earn respect.
No. Chair, don't allow this.
honorable members,
Because we're able to point others also.
we started the meeting by agreeing that the issue we are here to discuss is non-partisan. Secondly, we agreed that we are going to conduct ourselves in a manner that behoves a country that has lost 14 soldiers. I suggest that we continue to do that in honor of our men who died in the DRC. And so I suggest that we conduct ourselves in that fashion, that the President, this meeting is a meeting on behalf of Parliament. The protocols of respect that Parliament confers on each member still apply here. And so the President must still remain the President, Mr. Ramaphosa, or Honorable President or Honorable Ramaphosa, so that we don't raise tempers unnecessarily. It then doesn't assist us to get the answers that we are looking for. Honorable Hatti.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Let's get this out of the way. The only person in this meeting who initially referred to the fact that this is a peacekeeping mission is a minister. Now, we all know it's not. The peacekeeping portion of the narrative that goes out is to appease the nation. What did the President order? He ordered to support and assist the government of the DRC in its effort to neutralize illegal armed groups and negative forces in the conflicted areas of the DRC, thereby ultimately restoring peace and security. Ultimately. The order is to go down, hunt down, kill and disarm these people. That's offensive. So I would like to know who advised the minister that this is a peacekeeping mission. And I suppose the President in signing this order was also advised the same. So I would like to know that in the light of our ill-preparedness for what we had to face in the DRC, no air support, no close air support, very limited logistical support, very limited medical support, and that's why we sit in this situation where we are today. So I would like to know, I would like to get some comment on the lack of our resources, our support that we have exposed our soldiers to in the DRC, and then also who advised the Minister and the President that this is a peacekeeping mission, or did it arrive, did it grow somewhere, was born somewhere in a smoke-filled room? I don't know. I would like to get an answer. Secondly, the vague report about the United Nations, MONUSCO will negotiate the repatriation of the deceased. We certainly, as chairperson, we certainly cannot live with that in this committee. We are surrounded by M23. We are in an area controlled by the M23. We are limited to our bases. We cannot go out there with arms. We are, in fact, hostages in an area. We cannot get to our soldiers. We cannot resupply them. We cannot get in there with any air support, nothing. We rely on M23, and we have to thank them for water and food. And for them, we have to, for us killing so many of them, our brave soldiers. So I want to know, what is the plan? We can't ask the Secretary General of the United Nations to come and explain to us how will our deceased will be repatriated, what will happen to our wounded, what will happen with our personnel. We're surrounded. What will happen to the equipment? Have we lost equipment to M23? And what is the plan? And then we can't say we are negotiating with United Nations or MONUSCO. It's happening today, and we need to know. So timelines, when will it happen? And then a question that comes up and of very concerned families, what is the situation with the deceased? Are they properly cared for until they will be repatriated? South Africa needs answers on that. Then the root, let's address perhaps in this session also the root problem. And I don't believe that the Minister was informed or the President was informed. What is the root cause of our problem? Chair, that is over more than a decade, the defunding of the SANDF. We don't maintain our equipment, we don't preserve them, we don't modernize, we sell old equipment. Our equipment that we have to use, and when we mobilize, sit in stores without proper preservation. It cannot be used, they are rusting away. We save, because we have to pay this massive salary being defunded, we cut corners. We cut corners in training. We have brave soldiers, the best in Africa. We have them. In October, in the infantry school where we trained leaders, there was no diesel and no ammunition. The leaders had to dig trenches. So I would like to know, was the President and Minister informed that we are not this heavyweight in Africa anymore? That we are not the tiger of Africa anymore? That in fact, we have become a paperweight, if in boxing terms.
Thank you.
We have become a paper tiger. Was the Minister and the President informed that we don't have the capacity anymore?
Thank you, Honourable Hatti. And no, Honourable Member, can we also not point fingers?
Thank you, Chair.
Members, I'm sure.
On a point of order, Chair.
Yes, I'll come to the point of order. I'm sure we can all speak without pointing fingers and showing disrespect to one another. It is very possible. It's also very possible to be as robust as we want to be in our speaking without showing disrespect at one another. So let's try and do that. Point of order.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair,
Sorry, there is a point of order. Yes.
Chair, you have called out earlier on the Honorable Carl Neus, right? And you don't do the same to the Minister, and she has been continuously doing it, talking in and intimidating members while they are making their points. And pointing fingers. Yes. So she must just hold herself in and relax. It's going to be over soon, but she must not do this. On pointing, and then she thinks she can just do as she please. She's not. We are not here on her time. We also have our own schedules, and we want and demand answers. And even if we have to sit until tomorrow morning to get those answers, we'll sit here until then.
Thank you, honorable members. I think we ruled on that at the beginning of the meeting. Let's proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I will stick to the subject matter of this committee and not go to other matters. Minister, it is. Can you and the general just clear the matter of the SADC deployment and the participants in the whole mission itself, and also my understanding that is that there's a lot of defense units on the ground in DRC. What is the effect of that, having so many units in one kind of peacekeeping mission? Secondly, Minister, this is a real important question, and I think it must be tried to be answered. Do we really still need our soldiers in the DRC? Do we need them to be there? Why do we need them to be there? And then, General, on your presentation, you are talking about non-confrontation, which is maybe another term, because the media have been moving with this matter of ceasefire. Is there a difference between ceasefire and non-confrontation? Because we've been told that the ceasefire for Rwanda to collect the bodies, for us to repatriate our soldiers, but the general is clearly now saying that there's just no non-confrontation in the meantime. Is it because there's no ceasefire agreement that you presented here as a non-confrontation? Lastly, Minister, what will politically be needed to restore peace in the DRC? What will be the ultimate to make sure that there's peace in DRC and our kids can come home safely and we can bring them back from DRC? I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Swartz.
Thank you, Chairpersons. Chairpersons, firstly from our side, we also want to commend our troops that fought and died, and those that fought like lions. Now, for many years, I have argued that the defense budget vote is under-resourced, and in fact, on the 16th of July last year, I said, in this 7th administration, Honourable Minister, and more particularly the DM, with your military background, we must ensure our troops have the necessary equipment or admit that we are not up to the task and bring them home. I even quoted from that famous poem of Tennyson, The Charge of the Light Brigade, where he said, someone has blundered, but soldiers, theirs is not to ask why. Theirs is not to reason why, theirs is but to do or die. So there are two elements here. There's the underfunding, and then secondly, there's the military side of things. General, given the fact that you have this under-resourced, that you did not have the military capacity in as much as air support. We know 2014, the Roy Falk attack helicopters were very effective. Given that you didn't have those resources at your disposal, could you not have advised politically to the Commander-in-Chief, the President, that we're not up to this task, given that your own generals advised against the mission, calling it doomed to failure? That is my biggest concern. We sounded the alarm. We were ill-advised. And what was the degree of military intelligence? And again, Chair, I understand these are operational issues. We fully would support an inquiry behind doors if necessary, so we can look into the depths of these issues. Was there sufficient intelligence when the MR23 were approaching? Why do we only have 3 forces from Malawi, Tanzania, and South Africa? And again, the aspersions about protecting mining interests. Our soldiers have died. Did we learn nothing from Bangui? Here, it was an offensive peace peace enforcement mandate, and given our lack of resources, General and your staff, did you seriously consider whether you were up to this task? Chairperson, I would also like to ask the Minister, when you deployed there, and I've got 20 seconds, and thank you for going there, but did it not put the soldiers in greater risk when you were there now? Because soldiers had to be withdrawn from the front lines to protect you. But again, you saw exactly what was going on. You saw that was issues, but maybe you can address that visit. Thank you, Chair. As I say, I support an inquiry into this. Let it be held behind doors if necessary, given the operational issues. But our soldiers have died, and we warned about that in July last year. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, my first question would be, where is the presentation that the General have read to us? Because we must be, as members of Parliament, be privy to such information. Because I asked my member that serves on defense, and we didn't receive such a presentation. So he must send that presentation because, one, as a chair, you shouldn't have even allowed for this meeting to have continued without giving members of Parliament a presentation, whether it's via email or so forth. This Parliament have rules, and part of those rules is that we must be furnished with the critical information that we are supposed to engage with. So it's quite disappointing. Number two, Chair, for the mere fact that the generals are seated here with us this afternoon, it means that there's no peace there. Why must we wait to bring back the soldiers that are still stuck in the DRC? Why must they still be there protecting the interest of white monopoly capital and the interest of Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa? Why must lives be lost? They must ask that question. Maybe perhaps, Minister, your spokesperson will help you. But it's disheartening to see kids on TikTok crying for their loved ones that are still stuck there, not knowing are their parents safe or not safe. Doesn't that rock you? Doesn't that shake you? Because if it's in fact true what the Major is saying, and I'm not pointing to him, I like to speak with my hands. If it's indeed true that what the Major is saying, we would have had at least bring back our soldiers by now. Because the Minister went there, some Secretary General also went and paraded there, took photos and come back. And didn't bring back our soldiers that are dying on a daily basis. In fact, we need the truth. There's not this fancy report that we have just received now that everything is hunky-dory, there's no issues. It's a lie. And we are being misled as Parliament. So that's why we need the report and this presentation, so that we can, if there's indeed we are being misled, there's a recourse as this Parliament that we can take. We cannot let the blood of our brothers and sisters be in vain like that. We cannot continue like that. The last, we knew for about 10 years, Advocate, that the budgets were cut on year end, and we have rejected these budgets. And forever we were told as EFF, you are rejecting service delivery. Because we knew why we are rejecting them. Because how do you pass a defense budget? We can't keep our country safe. We have been exposed. Thirdly, what was the intelligence, the military intelligence? Couldn't we have perceived this attack on our soldiers and further attacks that might still happen as we are seated here in this air-con offices of ours? Work needs to be done. Boots needs to go to the ground. we need to bring our soldiers back. And I want to propose, Chair, again, there's budgetary constraints. Why are we parading on Sona Day all of those troops here? If there's indeed budgetary constraints, because if we look in terms of the money that is spent to bring those troops here, the money that is going to be spent to feed the troops and all of that, there's nowhere in the Constitution that it states that Mr. Ramaphosa must have that. In fact, he should have called it off and said to Parliament, in line of having our fallen soldiers, we will not be paraded. Because what are you parading? What are you showcasing? We knew that the Rooivalk and the diesel pumps and everything were broken. We were told that as committee members in appropriations. We're told that. And yet, we sit here this afternoon and come with a honky-dory report and think things are normal. Carl is correct. The minister by now should have held her head in shame. The generals by now should have held their head in shame to come and disregard Parliament like this with some clumsy report that they think they can bypass us like some of us can't read. So by now they should have at least we should have found themselves there. If there's indeed peace, let them fly out tonight on a plane. If indeed there's no threat and everything is hunky-dory as he stated, let the two generals that are seated here today, let the president send them there, and then we will hear from them how they will return. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I have 3 questions for the Minister. Minister, I want to take you back to an interview you did 2 weeks ago on live television. In this interview, you spoke about our equipment and you said, we are not where we want to be in respect of equipment. And the interviewer then asked you about our air support, a question which you very neatly sidestepped and said, war usually comes with casualties. And then you said, we have trained and capable personnel. Now, my question is, why was the SANDF contingent deployed to the DRC despite lacking effective air superiority and a strategic air bridge between South Africa and the operational area in Goma? My second question, also in response to what you've said on live television, is a conversation you had with the interviewer about budget cuts. And you said you were in constant contact with the Minister of Finance and with Treasury. In response to that, the interviewer said, in light of these limitations, is it worth sending our soldiers to the DRC, seeing how dangerous it is? And your response, Minister, was, there is no price on peace. There is no price on peace. You said that twice. My question today is this still your view? And the third question, which also emanates from that interview, is that you concluded that day to live television to say, I can promise you that you can sleep peacefully. We will be able to defend the country. We have enough capacity. We are confident. So the question is, who is the confident we? Is it the same we who advised the President to extend this deployment in the DRC? If it is, who are they? Are they the generals that spoke here today? Are there other generals? Are they the generals who attended a golf day recently, who purchased luxury vehicles? Are they the generals who renovated their houses during the course of last year, when all of this was going on in the DRC? Or was it the Chief of the Army, Lieutenant General Mabata, who wrote a book entitled Planning is Everything, Because if it was, it would be quite ironic. Because reports this weekend said, from an insider in the SANDF, said the troops were killed because of a failure of planning. So the question is, who are the we that you're referring to that supposedly is so ready to keep our country safe? And who are the people that advised you and that advised the president?
Thank you.
Sorry, Chairperson. And also, what are the consequences for those we?
Oh, are you speaking or jumping?
I'm speaking.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair and coaches. I think we need to appreciate the report as presented to us. At the same time, put the family members who lost their loved ones. Yeah, I should think this is the message we need to communicate also as these committees, joint committees of parliament, to say we share the pains. They've lost their lives. But at the same time, Chair, I should think we need to, I'm glad that you gave a direction that we need to deal with this matter with the sensitivities it has. And I think I will indulge the minister and the generals, even when you have to respond to our questions, don't deal with how you're going to deal with the matters that will put the lives of the poor soldiers that are the more vulnerable. But the point that I want to raise, we've seen media reports that our soldiers, some are trapped there. And when they are trapped there, I should think there's a plan, though I won't want to hear the details, but the issue is that we are all concerned to say, if now they are surrounded there, likelihood of them running short of food, and now that we know that Goma now is a no-fly zone, I hope there's a plan to say how do we rescue our soldier there. And then I'm also worried about the injured ones, because we know when they went there for peacekeeping, they knew what they were going to do, and it's the life of a soldier. And then we should then also commend them, having died with their boots on, because I think they had subscribed to the oath of office and the responsibility. But also a matter that I just want clarity on, General, because we have been in these missions since 1999 as a country. And then I want to understand whether there was a pre-deployment training done for this current contingent that we deployed, because knowing that M23 has been there and now it's a technologically advanced operation, I should think then sufficient training will have assisted us a great deal to avert this, but I just wanted to know whether there was sufficient training for this contingent that we are dealing with. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I came here knowing that politicians and military generals have a way of saying much, speaking a lot and saying little. So I won't ask why we are in the DRC. I think that matter will be discussed extensively on Monday in the National Assembly debate. But I do want to ask a couple of questions. And the first one is, the Minister said that they are very busy repatriating the deceased. The very people that my colleague, Honourable Ngobeni, warned in July 24 in the BRR, she said troops are going to die. It's one thing repatriating deceased people. What about evacuating the injured? Casualty evacuation. If there are no casualty evacuation plans, and the honourable members just said Goma is a no-fly zone, we're going to have more body bags coming back to South Africa. So what's the plan with the evacuation, casualty evacuation? That's my first question. The second question, what is the status of the bases that our troops occupy in Sake, in Goma, in the eastern DRC? Are they prisoners of war or hostages? We've seen the images. The images of the base camp that I've seen indicate that our troops were actually more like a ragtag militia than the people we were fighting against. Are we providing them logistical support, food, water, ammunition, firepower, air, and artillery support? If not, at whose mercy are they? The third question is, what support are we giving to the family of the deceased soldiers? The fourth question, what is the situation with other collaborating forces, troops? We hear some of them have been evacuated, gone. Ours are still there. And lastly, are we reassessing our involvement in the Eastern DRC as a peacekeeping mission or offensive fighting force? And if we are, when are we going to withdraw our troops? Thank you. And Chair, I don't think there's any debate about whether there will be an inquiry. I believe that we are going to push hard on Monday for an inquiry to take place about what happened in the DRC. This portfolio committee won't cut the mustard.